What if the fish you thought was protecting your heart could actually cause a stroke overnight? Every year in America, over 800 null people suffer strokes. That's a staggering number. And here's what most people don't realize. Many of these strokes are triggered by foods we genuinely believed were healthy. Foods we ate with confidence, thinking we were doing something good for our bodies. Doctors tell us to eat more fish. We hear it everywhere. Fish is good for your heart. They say, fish has omega-3 seconds. Fish will keep you strong as you age. And while that can be true, there's a darker side to this advice that almost nobody talks about. Some fish, the ones sitting in your refrigerator right now, can quietly thicken your blood, raise your pressure, and set the stage for a cardiovascular crisis you never saw coming. If you're over 60 and you eat fish more than twice a week, I need you to listen carefully. Your next meal could matter more than you think. The choices you make at the grocery store, the fish you order at restaurants, the cans you open for a quick lunch, they're all playing a role in what's happening inside your arteries right now. This isn't about creating fear. I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to be informed, because when you have the right information, you can make decisions that truly protect you. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. By the end of this video, you're going to know the 7 types of fish you should avoid, and you'll also discover the 3 fish that can actually reverse artery damage naturally. You'll walk away with clarity, with a plan, and with a new sense of freedom. This isn't just about what not to eat. It's about reclaiming control over your health. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you get the best health advice from us every week. I want to know if you're following along with this video. If you find this content helpful, type the number 1 in the comments below. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me create better content for you. Stay until the end. Because if you skip this, you might keep eating something that slowly steals your independence, your mobility, your energy, your future, and I know you don't want that. None of us do. So let's get started. Here's something most people don't understand. Not all omega-3 seconds are created equal. And more importantly, not all fish deliver the heart benefits we've been promised. I've spent decades studying cardiovascular health, and one of the biggest misconceptions I see is the assumption that fish equals healthy, period. But the truth is far more complex. Some fish carry hidden dangers that can undermine your health in ways you'd never expect. Let me break down the 3 main reasons why certain fish have become what I call killer foods. Foods that masquerade as healthy choices but quietly damage your system over time. First, industrial toxins. We're talking about mercury, PCBs, and other chemicals that accumulate in the flesh of certain fish. These toxins don't just pass through your body, they accumulate, they build up in your tissues, particularly in your brain and cardiovascular system, over months and years. This toxic burden can contribute to inflammation, high blood pressure, and arterial damage. You can't see it happening, but it's there, doing its work silently. Second, hidden sodium. A lot of the fish products we consume, especially canned, smoked, or processed varieties, are loaded with sodium. And I'm not talking about a little extra salt. Some of these products contain more sodium in a single serving than you should have in an entire day. That sodium drives your blood pressure up overnight. You eat it in the evening, and by morning, your vessels are stiff, your heart is working harder, and your risk of a hypertensive crisis has jumped. Third, and this is where it gets really interesting, the wrong fat balance. Specifically, an overload of omega-6 fatty acids compared to omega-3 seconds. Now, omega-6 seconds aren't bad in small amounts, But when you have too much, especially in relation to omega-3 seconds, they promote inflammation throughout your vascular system. This chronic, low-grade inflammation damages the lining of your arteries, making them more prone to plaque buildup, clots, and blockages. Think of your blood like a traffic system. When everything is balanced, the cars move smoothly, the lights stay green, traffic flows. But the wrong fats, they turn those green lights red. They cause congestion, they create bottlenecks, and eventually, you get a pileup. That pileup in your body is a heart attack or a stroke. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this. It's not about quitting fish entirely. Fish can still be one of the healthiest proteins you eat. It's just about knowing your map, knowing which roads to take and which ones to avoid. That's what we're going to explore together, step by step. In a moment, I'm going to share a story with you, a real story about a woman who made the same mistake millions of Americans are making right now, and I'll show you how she turned things around. Let me tell you about Evelyn. She's 58 years old, lives in Ohio, and for years, she did exactly what she thought was right. Evelyn ate tilapia 4 times a week. She loved it because it was mild, affordable, easy to cook. And her doctor told her it was lean protein. She thought she was making the smart choice, especially as she got older and started worrying more about her heart. But then something strange started happening. Her cholesterol levels began to creep up. Her blood pressure, which had always been pretty stable, suddenly jumped to 150/95. She wasn't sleeping well. She felt more tired during the day, and she couldn't understand why. She was eating fish, exercising regularly, trying to do everything by the book. When Evelyn came to see me, we went through her diet in detail, and that's when the truth came out. Tilapia, the fish she'd been relying on for years, has an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of about 11:1. That's wildly imbalanced. Instead of reducing inflammation, her fish was fueling it. It was triggering microinflammation in the lining of her blood vessels, making her artery less flexible, more reactive, more prone to damage. Evelyn was shocked. She'd been doing what her doctor recommended. But nobody had told her that not all lean fish are created equal. Nobody had explained the difference between farm-raised and wild-caught, or how the fat composition of different fish can have totally opposite effects on your cardiovascular system. So we made a change. I asked Evelyn to stop eating tilapia and switch to wild-caught salmon and sardines. Twice a week. That's it. Just 2 servings a week of the right fish. Within 3 months, hair, C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, dropped by 40%. Her blood pressure came down to 128/82. She started sleeping better. She had more energy. She felt like herself again. And here's the most important part. She didn't need medication to make this happen. She just needed better information. She needed to know which fish to choose and which ones to avoid. If you've ever done the same thing Evelyn did, please don't feel bad. Most seniors were never told this truth. The food industry, the marketing, even well-meaning healthcare providers, they've all contributed to this confusion. But now you're learning what Evelyn learned, and that knowledge is going to change everything for you. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body when you eat the wrong kind of fish. Because once you understand the mechanism, the choices you need to make become crystal clear. There are 3 main pathways through which bad fish harms your cardiovascular system. I want to walk you through each one so you can see exactly why this matters so much. First, omega-6 fatty acids cause microinflammation. When you consume too much omega-6, especially without enough omega-3 to balance it out, your immune system goes into a low-level state of alert. It starts producing inflammatory molecules called cytokines. These cytokines circulate through your bloodstream and attack the inner lining of your blood vessels, a thin, delicate layer called the endothelium. Over time, this constant inflammatory assault damages the endothelium, making it rough, sticky, and more likely to trap cholesterol particles. That's how plaque begins to form. That's the starting point of atherosclerosis, the disease that leads to heart attacks and strokes. Second, mercury affects the integrity of your vascular walls. Mercury is a neurotoxin, but it doesn't just harm your brain, it also interferes with the normal function of your blood vessels. It disrupts the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that helps your vessels relax and expand. When nitric oxide production drops, your vessels become stiffer, less responsive, and your blood pressure goes up. Mercury also promotes oxidative stress, which further damages the endothelium and accelerates the aging of your arteries. Third, sodium increases your circulating blood volume, and that drives up your blood pressure. When you eat too much sodium, your kidneys hold on to more water to dilute it. That extra water increases the total volume of blood your heart has to pump. More volume means more pressure against your artery walls. And if this happens day after day, week after week, your vessels start to remodel. They become thicker, stiffer, less elastic. Eventually, they can't handle the pressure anymore, and something ruptures or clots. That's a stroke. That's a heart attack. Now, imagine pouring thick syrup through a garden hose. At first, it might flow, but slowly, it clogs, it sticks, it resists. That's what bad fish fats do to your arteries. They make your blood thicker, your vessels narrower, and your heart work harder than it should. But here's the good news, and I mean this sincerely. The opposite is also true. Good fats, the kind you get from clean, wild-caught fish, can reopen those blocked roads. They reduce inflammation. They improve the flexibility of your arteries. They help your blood flow smoothly again. In the next section, we're going to go through the list of the worst fish and the best fish, so you can fix this today, right now, starting with your very next meal. All right, let's get specific. Here are the 7 types of fish that people over 60 should avoid, or at the very least, drastically reduce. I'm going to explain why each one is dangerous, and I'll give you a healthier alternative so you're never left wondering what to eat instead. Number 1. Farmed salmon. Most of the salmon you see in grocery stores is farm-raised. It's cheaper. It's widely available, but it's also loaded with PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, which are industrial chemicals that disrupt your hormones and increase inflammation. Farmed salmon also has a much higher omega-6 content than wild salmon because of the grain-based feed these fish are given. If you love salmon, and I hope you do, switch to wild Alaskan salmon. Yes, it costs more, but your arteries will thank you. Number 2. Tilapia. As we discussed with Evelyn, tilapia is inflammation disguised as lean protein. It has one of the worst omega-6 to omega-3 ratios of any commonly eaten fish. Eating tilapia regularly is like pouring gasoline on a fire in your blood vessels. Instead, try wild-caught trout. It's mild, it's affordable, and it has a much healthier fat profile. Number 3. Canned tuna. I know this is a staple for a lot of people. It's convenient, it's portable, it's been a lunchtime favorite for generations, but most canned tuna is high in mercury, especially albacore or white tuna, and many brands are packed with added sodium. If you eat canned tuna more than once a week, you're exposing yourself to mercury levels that can damage your cardiovascular and nervous systems over time. A better choice? Sardines packed in water. They're lower on the food chain, so they accumulate far less mercury, and they're rich in omega-3 seconds and calcium. Number 4. Swordfish and king mackerel. These are large, predatory fish that live a long time, and because of that, they accumulate extremely high levels of mercury. One serving of swordfish can contain more mercury than you should consume in a month. The FDA has actually issued warnings about these fish, especially for older adults and pregnant women. Swap them out for smaller fish like anchovies or Pacific cod, which are much lower in toxins. Number 5. Smoked fish, smoked salmon, smoked trout, lox. These are delicious. I'm not going to lie, but the smoking process adds a tremendous amount of sodium, often over 600 milligrams per serving. It also creates compounds called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, which are carcinogenic and inflammatory. If you love the flavor, try fresh salmon with a little liquid smoke and herbs. You'll get the taste without the blood pressure spike. Number 6. Fried fish and fish sticks. When fish is deep fried, especially in industrial oils, all of those beneficial omega-3 fats get destroyed. What's left is saturated fat, trans fat, and often a coating loaded with refined carbs and sodium. Fish sticks. Fried fish sandwiches. These are not heart-healthy foods, even if they started with fish. If you want crispy fish, bake it in the oven with a light coating of whole-grain breadcrumbs and olive oil. You'll get the texture without the damage. Number 7. Farmed catfish, like tilapia. Farmed catfish is raised in crowded conditions and fed a diet that skews its fat profile toward omega-6 seconds. Many catfish farms also use antibiotics to prevent disease in these cramped environments, and residues of those antibiotics can end up in the fish you eat. If you like catfish, look for wild-caught varieties from clean rivers, or switch to another mild white fish like Pacific cod or wild pollock. Now, I know that's a lot to take in, and you might be thinking, what am I supposed to eat? Don't worry. I've got you covered. The best alternatives are wild Alaskan salmon, sardines in water, wild trout, anchovies, and Pacific cod. Rotate these into your meals 2 to 3 times a week, and you'll get all the benefits of fish without any of the risks. This isn't about fear. It's about swapping smart. Small changes, big results. I want to introduce you to a colleague of mine, Dr. Walter Hayes. He's been treating heart patients for over 30 years, and he has a saying that I think you'll appreciate. Food works faster than pills. Dr. Hayes has seen thousands of patients turn their health around not with more medication, but with smarter nutrition. And when it comes to fish, he's developed what he calls the Safe Heart Fish Plan. It's simple, it's practical, and it works. Here are the 5 rules of Dr. Hayes' plan. Rule number 1. Eat fish a maximum of 3 times per week. More than that, and you risk overexposure to contaminants, even in the cleanest fish. 3 servings gives you all the omega-3 benefits without pushing your body past its ability to safely process and eliminate any trace toxins. Rule number 2. Always choose wild, caught, not farm-raised. Wild fish eat a natural diet. They move freely, and their fat composition reflects that. Farm-raised fish, with few exceptions, are fed grain-based pellets, kept in crowded pens, and have a far less healthy fat profile. Read the label. Ask at the counter. It matters. Rule number 3. Check the sodium content and keep it under 200 milligrams per serving. This is especially important if you're buying canned or pre-packaged fish. Rinse canned fish under cold water before you eat it to wash away some of the excess salt. Your blood pressure will stay steadier, and you'll feel better overall. Rule number 4. Avoid oil-packed cans. The oils used in most canned fish are low-quality vegetable oils, often soybean or corn oil, which are high in omega-6. Choose fish packed in water, or better yet, fish packed in its own juices or olive oil. If that's an option, rule number 5. Rotate your proteins. Don't eat the same fish every time. Mix it up. Salmon 1 week. Trout the next. Sardines after that. This rotation minimizes your exposure to any one contaminant and ensures you're getting a variety of nutrients. Dr. Hayes tells his patients this all the time. You're not powerless. Your choices heal faster than any prescription. Every meal is an opportunity to support your heart, to lower your inflammation, to strengthen your vessels. And when you follow a plan like this, you'll see results quickly, often within weeks. If this information is helping you, please share it with someone who still eats what they think is healthy fish every day. Someone who might be making the same mistakes Evelyn made. You could literally save their life by passing this along. Before we wrap up, I want to address 3 myths that I hear all the time in my practice. These are misconceptions that lead good people to make bad choices, and I want to clear them up once and for all. Myth number 1. All fish lower cholesterol. This is simply not true. Fish like tilapia, farmed catfish, and fried fish can actually raise your triglycerides and worsen your cholesterol profile because of their poor fat balance and the way they're prepared. Only fish rich in omega-3 seconds, like wild salmon, sardines, and trout, have been shown to improve cholesterol levels. So don't assume that just because it swims, it's good for your heart. Myth number 2. Farmed fish is just as clean as wild fish. I wish this were true, but it's not. Studies have repeatedly shown that farmed fish, especially salmon and tilapia, contain higher levels of contaminants, like PCBs and dioxins. They're also more likely to have been treated with antibiotics. Farming practices vary, and while some farms are cleaner than others, the safest bet for your health is wild-caught whenever possible. Myth number 3. Smoked fish is a safe, healthy option. Smoked fish tastes amazing. I'll give you that, but it's absolutely loaded with sodium, often more than 600 milligrams per small serving. It also contains PAHs, chemicals formed during the smoking process that can promote inflammation and even increase cancer risk over time. If you love smoked fish, have it occasionally as a treat, not as a regular part of your diet. It's okay if you believed these myths. You believed what everyone else did. You trusted what you heard from commercials, from labels, from people who meant well but didn't have all the facts. But now you know better. And every correction you make, every swap you choose, lowers your stroke risk immediately. It's never too late to change course. Let me take you back to Evelyn for a moment. The woman I told you about earlier, the one who was eating tilapia 4 times a week and watching her blood pressure climb. Today, Evelyn is thriving. She walks every morning. Her blood pressure is stable. Her energy is back. She's living the life she wants to live, not the one her old habits were forcing her into. And here's what I want you to understand. The same can happen for you. Age doesn't decide your health. Abidu, the choices you make today, the fish you buy tomorrow, the meals you prepare this week, they all add up. They all matter. And they all move you either toward strength or toward struggle. You get to choose which direction you go. You have that power, and now you have the knowledge to use it wisely. I'm asking you to share this video with your family, with your friends, with anyone you care about who might be eating fish without knowing the full story, because one video, one conversation, can save a life. It can prevent a stroke. It can give someone the chance to live longer, stronger, and healthier. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel for weekly heart-saving tips. I bring you information like this every week. Information that can change your life if you apply it, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Every meal is a choice between strength and struggle. Choose strength, one fish at a time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.